Aisha sat quietly at the coffee shop, staring at the untouched cup of tea in front of her. Her mind buzzed with doubt, fear, and uncertainty. She had just quit her job, the one she thought she would be in for years, and now she felt lost, directionless. Her thoughts spun like a whirlwind, making her feel as if she was sinking into a pit of her own mind. Her best friend, May, walked in, radiating her usual sense of calm. May was the kind of person who always seemed to have her life together. She spotted Aisha, sat down across from her, and immediately sensed the weight of the unspoken thoughts. "What's going on, Aisha?" May asked gently, picking up her own cup. Aisha sighed deeply. "I don't know, May. I can't stop thinking about everything that could go wrong. What if quitting my job was the worst decision? What if I never find my purpose? What if I fail at everything I try next? I feel like I've lost control of my mind. It's exhausting." May nodded, listening carefully. After a pause, she leaned in closer and said, "You know, I've been where you are. I used to feel trapped in my thoughts too, as if they were running my life. But I learned something that changed everything for me. Do you want to try something?" Aisha raised an eyebrow, half curious, half skeptical. "What is it?" May reached into her bag and pulled out a small notebook and a pen. "Let's do an exercise. Right now, write down every single thought running through your mind. Don't filter it. Just write." Aisha hesitated for a moment, then took the notebook and began scribbling furiously. The thoughts poured out onto the paper, fears, doubts, anxieties. She wrote for several minutes, filling the page with the chaos that had been swirling in her mind. When she finally stopped, May smiled gently. "Okay, now take a look at those thoughts. Read them aloud." Aisha hesitated again but eventually began reading the words she had written. "What if I'm a failure? What if I'm not good enough? What if people judge me for quitting? What if I never find my path?" May listened quietly, then said, "Do any of those thoughts sound like the truth to you? Or do they just sound like fears?" Aisha looked at the words and frowned. "They're fears. I know deep down they're not true, but they feel so real when they're stuck in my head." May leaned back in her chair. "Exactly. Our thoughts aren't always facts. Sometimes, they're just echoes of our fears. And the more we give them power, the more they control us. But here's the thing, you control your thoughts, not the other way around." Aisha looked up, intrigued. "How do I do that, though? It feels like they just come out of nowhere, and I can't stop them." May smiled, as if she had been waiting for that question. "You can't stop thoughts from coming. They're like birds flying across the sky, you can't stop the birds from flying, but you can choose not to let them build a nest in your mind. The key is to notice your thoughts, but not attach to them. When a negative thought comes, don't fight it. Just observe it, like you would watch a cloud pass by. Acknowledge it, but don't give it power." Aisha considered this for a moment, then said, "So, I'm supposed to just let the thoughts be there?" "Exactly," May said. "You let them be there, but you don't let them control your mood or your actions. When a thought says, you're going to fail, you can say to yourself, that's just a thought. It's not reality. Then shift your focus to something else, something more empowering." Aisha leaned forward, intrigued. "Like what?" May thought for a moment, then said, "Like asking yourself, what if I succeed? What if this change is exactly what I need? What if everything works out better than I imagined?" By changing the narrative in your mind, you begin to direct your thoughts, instead of being directed by them. Aisha took a deep breath. It made sense, but it still felt hard to do. "But how do I make that shift when I feel overwhelmed?" May smiled gently. "It's a practice. It won't happen overnight. But start small. When you catch yourself spiraling into negative thoughts, pause. Take a breath. Then, choose a new thought. It doesn't have to be something unrealistic, just something that gives you hope, even a little. Over time, you'll find that it becomes easier. Aisha nodded slowly, feeling a flicker of hope. So, it's not about stopping the negative thoughts, it's about redirecting them? Exactly, May said. It's like steering a ship. The waves are your thoughts, they'll come and go, sometimes they'll be calm, sometimes rough. But you're the captain. You steer the ship where you want to go. You don't let the waves decide your direction. Aisha smiled for the first time that day, feeling a sense of empowerment she hadn't felt in weeks. I like that analogy. Steering the ship. May nodded, her eyes twinkling. Exactly. And the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. Before long, you'll realize that your thoughts are just passing waves, and you have the power to navigate through them. Aisha felt a lightness in her chest that hadn't been there before. She looked down at the page filled with her worries, then slowly closed the notebook. Thank you, May. I think I needed to hear that. May smiled warmly. We all need reminders sometimes. Just remember, you're stronger than your thoughts. You control the story in your mind. As they sat together in the fading sunlight, sipping their tea, Aisha knew this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one where she would no longer be a prisoner of her thoughts, but the author of her own story. Thank you all for watching and being a part of this journey with us. I hope this story helps you remember that you are in control of your thoughts, no matter how overwhelming they may seem. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring content. Don't forget to share it with anyone who might need a little extra motivation today, and feel free to leave a comment below with your thoughts or experiences. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care, and keep steering your mind toward positivity.